In 1929, Japan released its first whiskey, Suntory Shirofuda, a faithful reproduction of Scotch. The Japanese public rejected it. Too smoky, too heavy, too Scottish. That failure became the most important lesson in the history of Japanese whiskey. Nearly a century later, Yamazaki was named Supreme Champion Spirit at the International Spirits Challenge 3 years running, 2023, 2024, and 2025. The recipe is still Scottish. 5 decisions are not. Part 1. 1. Distillery, many whiskies. Scotland operates on a system of deep specialization. With more than 130 active distilleries, Scottish blenders do not need to make everything themselves. They trade. If a Scottish house needs a smoky malt to balance a sweet grain spirit, they simply swap casks with a competitor across the valley. In Japan, this cooperative network does not exist. Competitors do not share or trade their whiskey. A Japanese distiller must be entirely self-sufficient. This structural isolation forced Japanese producers to reinvent the distillery itself. At Yamazaki, the still house contains 16 copper pot stills of varying shapes and sizes, which is highly unusual. Some are squat, others tall, with some heated by steam and others by direct fire. Distillers pair these with both stainless steel and wooden washbacks, employing numerous yeast strains to push distinct ester profiles. A longer fermentation inside the wooden washbacks allows lactic acid bacteria to thrive, creating a deeply fruity, complex character that cannot be replicated in steel. If a Scottish distillery represents a kitchen specializing in a single pineapple dish, Yamazaki is a kitchen tasked with producing every imaginable variation of that pineapple under one roof, from fresh to caramelized. This internal diversity is the single biggest structural difference between the two systems. Part 2. Water and climate as deliberate engineering. In Scotland, location is inheritance. In Japan, location is a decision. When Shinjiro Torii established Yamazaki in 1923, he bypassed the northern wilderness for a humid lowland basin just 25 meters above sea level. He built at the precise confluence of the Katsura, Uji, and Kizu rivers, harnessing a legendary water source once chosen by tea master Sen no Rikyu for the emperor's historic tea house. 50 years later, Suntory engineered the opposite extreme. In 1973, they established the Hakushu distillery at an altitude of 708 meters in the southern Japanese Alps, nestling the still house within a dense forest where 83% of the land remains a protected bird sanctuary. To complete this environmental palette, Masataka Taketsuru chose Hokkaido to construct Yoichi in 1934, seeking a cold, salty maritime climate that faithfully mirrored the traditional distilleries of Campbelltown. This geographical diversity is a deliberate tool for maturation. Running roughly 3 to 4 degrees Celsius warmer than Scotland, Japan experiences hot, humid summers that drive faster, deeper spirit interaction with the oak casks. The intense seasonal shift forces the wood to breathe heavily, pulling the spirit deep into the staves to develop a rich, expressive character far sooner than the damp, steady chill of a Scottish warehouse allows. Part 3. The stills. In Scotland, consistency is protected by symmetry. Distilleries typically operate identical pairs of pot stills to safeguard a single, unchanging house style. Japanese still houses reject this uniformity, positioning entirely different geometries side by side in a single room. Within these halls, shapes, sizes, line arm angles, and condenser configurations are mixed to multiply the possibilities of a single site. Hakushu's gourd-shaped stills manipulate vapor pathways to create a delicate, forest-like floral character. By adjusting the physical height and the upward or downward slope of the line arms, distillers directly dictate the duration of copper contact and the intensity of passive reflux, translating physical architecture into precise sensory profiles, from heavy, oil-rich spirits to light, fruity esters. Varying the cut points during distillation further divides these runs, allowing one still house to capture distinct fractions of floral, ripe fruit, or heavy, savory spirits. This engineering of character is clearest in how these vessels are heated. At Yamazaki, The first distillation utilizes direct-fired wash stills to encourage intentional hotspots, driving Maillard reactions that toast the barley sugars into a complex caramelized depth, while the second distillation relies on indirect steam to maintain clean, precise temperature control. Further north at Yoichi, 6 straight-head copper pot stills are heated by direct coal fire, a labor-intensive method Masataka Taketsuru documented during his 1919 apprenticeship at Longmorn. While Scotland almost entirely abandoned coal-fired stills for the convenience of steam, Japan preserved this volatile art, scaling it to create bold, smoky malts defined by a distinctive toasted weight. By keeping these historic techniques alive, Japanese distillers preserved a heritage Scotland abandoned, multiplying its possibilities under their own roofs. Part 4. Wood as an ingredient, not a container. Maturation in Japan is not a passive waiting period, but a highly calculated phase of flavor design. Distillers construct their profiles using 3 distinct oak species: American white oak, European oak, and native Mizunara. These are cooperated into 5 primary cask formats: bourbon barrels, hogsheads, custom-built in-house puncheons, Spanish sherry butts, and Mizunara casks. The signature element of this wood program is Mizunara, a native water oak harvested from the cold northern forests of Hokkaido. A single tree takes approximately 200 years to grow large enough for cask production, yielding a tight, porous wood that is notoriously difficult to cooper, but eventually imparts elegant notes of sandalwood and temple incense unavailable in Western oak. The pursuit of this scarce timber is so intense that distillers like Ichiro Akudo personally travel north to attend the Hokkaido timber auctions, bidding directly against high-end furniture makers to secure the finest logs. This hands-on control continues at Suntory's in-house cooperage, where master coopers build, toast, and carefully maintain their own vessels. Rather than relying on standard used storage, they actively season-select casks with wines, fortified wines, and Japanese liqueurs as part of an integrated flavor plan. By managing the oak with this level of precise foresight, Japanese producers decide exactly what character the wood will contribute to the maturing spirit long before the liquid ever touches the barrel. Part 5. The blender as artist. This absolute control over yeast, steel, direct fire, and native forest culminates in the Japanese concept of shokunin, the lifelong, quiet devotion to mastering a single, chosen craft. In the blending rooms of Suntory, this philosophy is personified by Shinji Fukuyo. Appointed in 2009 after a 40-year career that included 4 years of rigorous training in Scotland, Fukuyo is only the 5th chief blender in Suntory's century-long history, and the master craftsman credited with assembling the ultra-rare Yamazaki 55-year-old. To create such an expression, the blending process must operate with mathematical, decimal point precision. Because Japanese houses cannot trade casks with competitors, the blender cannot simply buy a missing flavor profile from across the valley. Instead, Fukuyo must systematically organize dozens of highly distinct, internally produced spirit styles into one seamless liquid. Every single fraction of distillate, from heavy, coal-fired runs to delicate, wood-matured esters, is treated as a raw pigment to be layered with absolute restraint, ensuring that complexity never compromises harmony. This meticulous assembly reveals the final, defining contrast between the 2 global whiskey empires. The Scottish tradition champions regionality, celebrating the wild, untamed individuality of each independent distillery and its local terrain. Japanese whiskey, however, is a masterclass in cohesion, sensory control, and the artistic discipline of knowing exactly when to stop. In Scotland, the distillery is the star. In Japan, the blender is. Today, Japanese whiskey stands not in Scotland's shadow, but as its respected equal. By relentlessly refining the craft, these distillers proved that the ultimate tribute to a master is to surpass them. This is Uncorking Japan. Subscribe for more untold liquid histories.